Everybody ready? All right. All right. First of all, I want to thank the media for being here today. I got a phone call 2 days ago from Mayor Tecklenburg talking about how the communities of the Lowcountry could come together to make sure that we're doing the greatest response we can to our neighbors that are in need. And we felt that having one centralized grouping that we could funnel the contributions through that has contact with all the other local governments that are in need to make sure that we're getting the assets to the hands that need it so we get the best result for what we're doing. There's a lot of good-minded, goodwill people that are doing wonderful things, but we thought we needed a concentrated effort to make sure that we were doing it together. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mayor Tecklenburg to please come forward and talk for a minute and introduce us to the leadership of who we're asking to help us in this endeavor.
Well, thank you, Mayor Summey, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. The Lowcountry had a busy week last week, getting ready for a potential disaster for this Lowcountry. We were counting our blessings this week. We are counting our blessings to have been spared the wrath of Florence. Unfortunately, there were others who were in that path of that storm and have suffered and are suffering as a result of it. So we're all cities, counties, many organizations are doing different things. For example, the city of Charleston is getting together a team of police officers and others to actually go up and assist the city of Wilmington. We've gotten a direct request from them. But we wanted to have an opportunity for our citizens and our business community to be able to make a financial donation to help in the relief effort. And so the other mayors of the Lowcountry and myself are gathering together through our social media and any influence that we may have to be able to ask folks to contribute to this effort. And what better organization to facilitate the donations, because it's tax deductible, but also because they're such a thoughtful organization in terms of directing funds other than our own Coastal Community Foundation. And so next I want to briefly bring to you Darren Goss, who is the director of the Coastal Community Foundation, to explain how this will work. Darren?
Thank you, Mayor Tecklenburg and Mayor Summey, for the opportunity for the Coastal Community Foundation to frankly do what we do. Our purpose and the reason we exist is to create vibrant communities by uniting people and investing resources, and I can't think of a better way in the face of what we know will be catastrophic flooding in the northern part of the Lowcountry of South Carolina and our neighbors to the north of us in North Carolina than for our mayors and our communities to come together and not only provide financial resources and support, but I think what is principal is that the caring heart and minds and prayers of people in the Lowcountry focus toward the PD, the Grand Strand, and then those north of the border in North Carolina. The CCF Disaster Relief Fund and this effort, the Lowcountry Mayor's Disaster Relief Fund, is really an opportunity for citizens, corporations, any individual to do their part in helping to relieve what we know will be suffering, recovery for those folks that will be most affected in these areas. What we do as a community foundation is we'll work directly with community foundations in that region. So we're working directly with the North Carolina Community Foundation, who will have coverage of that area of North Carolina, as well as our very own affiliate organization, the Waccamaw Community Foundation. Angel Johnson Brebner is the acting executive director, who happens to be with us today. So we feel like we've got a good pulse on what's going on in that area, both in the immediate issues that we see with Florence, but then in the weeks, months, and frankly, years to come. We know that these recovery efforts last some time. So again, visit us at the coastalcommunityfoundation.org. Click on that link for the Disaster Relief Fund. and you can designate your gift within the comments that you're supporting the Mayor's Disaster Relief Fund, and we would really appreciate that support on behalf of the folks that are going to be most affected by this. So thank you again, mayors, for your work and your support in this effort. Thank you.
Give the other mayors an opportunity to come up and
say a few words. Mayor Jimmy Carroll of the Isle of Palms.
Thank you, Jimmy Carroll, Isle of Palms. 17 years, 3 days ago, we were hit with Hurricane Hugo. We all know what it feels like to be slammed. We also know what it feels like to have other communities come out and help us. So let's do this. Let's all chip in and help our fellow communities that are really impacted. Thank y'all, and please give.
Mayor Johnson. Wiley Johnson of Somerville.
Thanks, sir. I want to thank Mayor Tecklenburg, Mayor Summey for hosting this, getting this thing off the ground, getting it started, all the other mayors who have shown up here today. This is important, I think, is something that is we should really get behind. And by the way, I believe that was 89 that Hugo came through, because I was talking to one of my staff members, and I said, well, you remember how it was during Hugo and how bad it was and what we had to put up with. And she got this blank look on her face, and I realized she was only about 22 years old. And no, she doesn't know. And that's the thing. We've had so many folks move into the area. They don't realize how tremendously devastating a storm like this is and can be. And I think all of us that have been here just were dreading what could have happened to us. So it's time for us to step up and help the people who bore the brunt of this storm. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Habib from Goose Creek.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Mayor Summey and Mayor Tecklenburg for their leadership in putting this together. I'm very proud of the job that the mayors down in the Lowcountry are doing in supporting one another, in supporting the Lowcountry. And now, since we were blessed to avoid catastrophe, coming together to support other folks who need it. In 1989, I was in college at the University of South Carolina when Hugo came through, and the 2 days later, I was back in Goose Creek, helping folks get trees off of their houses and doing things like that. And so I've seen on numerous occasions the influx of support to the Lowcountry. People have come to help on several occasions, and with Charleston being the #1 place in the world to visit, we should also be the #1 place in the world to support others who are in need, and we have the resources to do so. Please know, in a partnership with CCF, your money is going to go where it's needed. It's not going to end up somewhere that it's not. It will get to where it's needed. And so I'm very, very proud of our partnership with CCF. So again, thank you, and please support this endeavor.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Goodwin from Folly Beach.
Well, I'm not going to talk about Hugo because a lot of us aren't here to remember Hugo, and that's why they don't remember him. But I will say this, partnering with CCF and foundations like this is the way to do it. As mayors, we often hear, I don't want that in my backyard, not in my backyard. What I'm urging everybody to do is give like this hurricane was in your backyard. Because one of these days, not if, but when, it will be, and we'll be looking for help from the outside. So do donate, all the folks and businesses, just like it was in your backyard today. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor Will Haney from Mount Pleasant, who already has his own airdrops operation going on. Mayor Haney.
Thank you very much. I wrote mine down. I knew I wouldn't have much time left after all these elected officials speaking, so I'll try to be brief. When a storm comes ashore, its winds and waters don't stop at jurisdictional boundaries. They cross those boundaries and have a combined effect. And today, that's exactly what we are doing as colleagues, as mayors of the Lowcountry. We're coming together across jurisdictional boundaries for the same reason, to have a combined effect to bring relief to those who got the brunt of this storm that we were spared from having here. And I urge all of our citizens and our businesses to please give. We'll make sure the money goes where it's needed most. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Haney. And Darren already has an announcement to make about one of our first donors.
Yeah, and I should have said this up front, but our friends in Columbia, South Carolina, at Delta Dental of South Carolina has made a contribution of $25,000 to this effort. So again, I think that corporations, individuals can do your part, but follow the leadership of that great company here in South Carolina. So again, thank you.
I think this shows the consolidated effort that we've had in preparation of a storm. We all came together to make sure that we were as best prepared as we could be for whatever happened. We've been blessed, and there's no other way to put it. We were spared what a lot of areas have gotten. Why? I don't know. But we can count our blessings, and I think one of the ways that we count that blessing is to make sure that we reach out to those who were not as blessed as we are. We expect that to happen when we get hit. And so let's reach out. We are the hub of the industrial development of the state of South Carolina. It's time for our industries to step up. They're operational. There are some places that won't be operational. Let's make sure that our people in the state of South Carolina and our cousins in North Carolina, that we take care of these folks to make sure that their recovery is the best it can be as quickly as it can be done. We've all been through the fact of waiting for the federal dollars to come through. It doesn't come that fast. What we've got to do is make sure that our people, our brothers and our sisters, are taken care of. I think it's a duty. I think it's a call that we are all up to meeting, and so we ask you to give with a charitable heart because, ladies and gentlemen, this could have been us. Thank you all for attending. Have any questions, we're more than willing to answer. Yes, ma'am. Well, the greatest thing that happens after an event like this is a sit-down where we talk about the things that worked and the things that didn't work, and how do we work to correct those. I mean, all of us were hit within a 30-day time frame about the shelter issue before the storm came, and it wasn't a chance to adjust that. We do believe that we have the ability to shelter people in Charleston County, but I can't say enough about our friends in Berkeley and Dorchester stepping up to the plate and working with us and having these shelters available for folks. This is something that we will all sit down and do a recap of what happened, and we've done it after every storm we've ever had. How do we improve what has transpired, and how do we work even better together? I was ragging some people the other day when the naval base closed and I was made the first chairman of the reuse committee. We had a meeting of Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester County officials, over 50 officials in one meeting, and we had someone there from the federal government. And I said, this is the first time we've gotten all these people together. We didn't have to have a weapons check at the door. I mean, but we have learned that we all are responsible to each other and for each other. We all cross boundaries of county lines. And so it's so important that we work together and come together so that we have the best response that we can have. And that will be determined for the next episode that we have by now sitting down, checking off the good, crossing out the bad, and making sure that it works better the next time. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. So 100% of the funds will go to hurricane relief for Florence. So just to be clear on that. And what we'll do is we have a great grant-making team that will be working with folks on the ground to assess need, actually to pinpoint where those resources need to be. And then we'll, as I think we do very well, is we'll identify where we can make the biggest impact financially. Obviously, our first commitment, if we had to prioritize, is South Carolina. We are a South Carolina community foundation. Horry, Georgetown, and the 7 what we would call southern Lowcountry counties are our footprint. So we want to take care of home first, and then we'll look at and work with our friends up in North Carolina at the North Carolina Community Foundation to see where those needs are. I can say to you that in the run-up to this storm last week, we've gotten calls as far away as Miami and Baton Rouge for people to help. So I don't think there will be, outside of South Carolina, a lack of response to North Carolina especially, but to South Carolina as well. So we're still on the phone working with folks, leveraging resources, identifying the needs, which we'll know in the next several days. And I should say again, the easiest and quickest, most effective way to give to this fund is through our website, coastalcommunityfoundation.org, ccf.org. There's a link on there. You click on Disaster Relief Fund, and right there will show you how to make a contribution really quickly.
Our police department in Summerville is collecting goods to transport up there. I'm not exactly sure where they're going, but they're taking donations through Monday. So I assume that's the cutoff date, and that's when they'll be leaving. So at this time, they may not even know exactly where they're going, but rest assured they'll go where they're needed.
What we're trying to ascertain now is what the needs are. And one thing we don't want to do is go somewhere where we're going to create a problem with housing people and what have you that we take. So we're asking and reaching out to the communities to give us exactly what you need, and then we will furnish those folks. I remember back when we took a crew to Wilmington, one of the first problems we saw was we went with 30 people and there was no place for them to stay. And so we ended up reopening a hotel in Myrtle Beach and then driving back and forth each day in shifts to offer that help. They're just going to be overwhelmed with the need for security and the need for also making sure people are safe. And so we're available with whatever they need to do that, but we check to make sure that we're going where we needed most and wanted most. And so that's what we're in the process of doing right now.
We have 3 high water rescue vehicles, and those are fueled up and manned up and ready to go. And they were scheduled to go to Wilmington, I believe, with yours, Mayor, with Charleston. We were going to go as a team. And then at the last minute, they got the word to stand down because apparently their National Guard came through with those assets. So as of my last word from our police chief, they were waiting to find out where, probably in South Carolina, they could go. But they will be gone within like the hour when we get the phone call. You also probably saw the media coverage that our pilots in Mount Pleasant, along with Councilman Joe Bustos, who owns the flight training school there, have been airlifting supplies into areas, and you can take donations to the Mount Pleasant Airport from 8 in the morning till 7 p.m. They will load those in the planes, and they're flying them out to wherever they can get to. And then, our police department is also collecting goods, as are the others, and you can bring those to Mount Pleasant Town Hall on Ann Edwards Lane, and they will be delivered to where they're needed most.
Operation Haney Drop. So thank you again for coming. Thank you, Mayor Summey, for hosting us. There are other mayors who are part of this effort who are not here today, but I want to thank the mayors who did come. I was on the phone the night of the storm with mayors in the upper part of South Carolina and in North Carolina. The need is real. And so we ask our citizens and our businesses to please chip in. Coastal Community Foundation, a sound organization. It'll be a tax-deductible contribution. They'll make sure the money gets in the right place. We're all sending supplies and personnel, but they'll need some money as well. So thank you for coming and helping us spread the word and help our brothers and sisters in need. God bless.
Thank you all for coming.
My son was born because of you, my oldest one. We were supposed to